Good evening. I hope you're well. I'm here to talk about value. This is Europa Natural Law, still alive and kicking. Thank you for tuning in. The question is, what is value? And I'm going to start talking about it. Obviously, I've been putting a bit of thought into this over the last couple of weeks. So, why is it important to talk about value? It takes people a little bit by surprise, I've noticed, when you bring up the question. People think, oh, value, what? I don't know. Well, it's kind of a bit of a funny one. But it's fundamental, really. And in a way, the more that I think about it, there's a circularity within the whole experience of value. So within even the question, why is value important? It's circular, importance is, attributing value to something. So, yeah. So it's a fundamental aspect of our relationship with our experience, with reality. It's absolutely fundamental. What we value and what we don't value. And then what we the way that we seek to create value or to get value. It's kind of an really underlying principle. So let's just have a quick look at the etymology. And this is notes that I've taken. So this is not like, like direct from a dictionary or whatever. It's kind of, a bit vaguer. But it's the words that I've picked up is strong, of use, or healthy. That's the root of value, meaning, so I've added durable. This is a kind of question mark. Is it durable or is it lasting? So something has value. This is a question, I'm positing that something has value if it lasts. Obviously things have value. Things last that don't have value or have less value. So, but perhaps then it's a question of who is receiving the value. So that's another aspect to the whole thing. Because something might have a certain value to one person and a very different value to someone else. And the two might not really, the two might really rub up against each other the wrong way. That definitely happens, I think. But so then, in that case, then we need to start thinking about values. Yeah. So this is how deep it is. It all is. So values. What are our values? Do we have values? Do we hold values? Are values the same as principles? Not sure. Could be. Another question. Okay, and obviously an important thing to sort of bring into the right up at the beginning is that this is Europa Natural Law. The reason this channel exists and still exists is because I value, and everyone that's contributed here to some degree values truth and, seeking to find truth and seeking to expound the truth. Although, the Socratic method is pretty good. It's pretty darn good, I think. You can go a long way just by asking questions that don't really need to be answered. I don't know. It's funny. Anyway, that's another subject. But anyway, value. So, as people may know who are watching, I spent quite a long time, studying and practicing Buddhism, Nichiren Buddhism, and within that context, there's a very clear there's a very clear almost definition of the word value. I would say it's kind of it's a sort of almost a jargon definition. I'm not sure what the word for that is, but a word like a technical definition, that kind of thing, which is basically about expounding the law, teaching the law. That's really what it is. That's what creates value. So that is, they call that, value creation. That's literally the translation from, it's a Japanese kind of practice. So value is created by teaching the law. That's pretty much like a fundamental teaching of Nichiren Buddhism. So I've had that in my kind of psyche, in my intellect, my heart, for quite a while from that kind of context. And then I've kind of come around to thinking about natural law in a different way and more up to date kind of way, perhaps. But this idea of value, carries on, lives on. It's, and it's what is truly of value. And I didn't save that, but I'm just going to have a quick look and see what is a common, I think I can do this live. Why not? Let's do it. Commonly quoted values or things that people value. Okay, health, wealth, freedom, security, family, love, happiness, truth. Oh, truth is in there. That's a good one. Justice, peace, honor, loyalty, friendship, knowledge, wisdom, power, success, beauty, faith, dignity, creativity, respect, equality, community, tradition, innovation. Okay, but a thing that I really value and that I've realized that I value whilst thinking about value and contemplating this topic, I've realized that I really value being left alone. And I didn't expect that to come on that. I didn't expect that. I knew that I wouldn't be on that list. And we're not left alone by any stretch of the imagination. So it's just like to even dream the dream of being left alone. Wow. It seems so far removed from reality, but I would say that's a value. That's something that I value, and obviously in a day-to-day, in our day-to-day experience, I notice that when I sort of feel left alone, like when I'm in my own space and appreciating just being alive and being and sharing the world with whoever and whatever I am sharing with. That's something that I've just noticed. Well, I value that very, very highly. Just being, and just experiencing all the little details, and then all the huge tendencies and swings and everything in between. Noticing this reality is. I'm in love with this reality. That's what I notice when I think about value. I'm like, well, what do I value? Oh, I value this thing, this weird thing that someone's done, or this little weed going up out of the pavement. These details of reality are they're so valuable. It's hard to really. They're almost of like fundamental value, because I think if you can't appreciate those things, if you're not really valuing those things, it's gonna be tough, I think. And I guess we have all been in those. I've been in that, not able to appreciate anything, definitely. So yeah, of course, that's another aspect of the whole thing. Value, the extent to which we value just our experience is, almost directly sort of correlates with our sense of well-being or happiness, and which directly impacts on our ability to act, and to take right action. So just to sort of make that shorthand clear, when I say right action, in my mind, I'm thinking of teaching natural law. That is the right action for the age. All the other right actions are fine. Of course, be moral. Of course, right livelihood, etc., etc. But it doesn't really. It all kind of like becomes less important in an age as deluded as this one. When we're in this situation, we need to do more and step it up. And that means teaching natural law, teaching morality. And when I say teaching morality, that does not mean teaching people how to behave. It means teaching them the difference between right and wrong, which is very simple. And I might have said that before on here, but I think it's very important to make that clear. Morality is not about a code, it's about actual right and wrong. And we absolutely must have conversations in terms of right and wrong. It will simplify everything, it will make everything clear, and we can stop playing ideological games and attaching our ego to ideologies and beliefs, and just cut out the bullshit. So this is a roundtable show, but I just had this stuff to say. I just thought, I'm just gonna get some stuff out while I'm feeling it, and then see who's around to join in, if anyone. Which, of course, you're welcome. If I hadn't said that, which I haven't, you're welcome to join. I will put the link up shortly. So going back to the etymology of value, it's interesting that historically it actually began as associated with quantity, so like price and measure, Oh no, sorry. Am I getting this right? Sorry. No. Okay. My notes are confusing me. Import. So that you have the importance and monetary, or material. And yeah, I'm confusing myself because my notes I thought said one thing, but I've read them, and anyway, I'll leave that point. Sorry about that. So yes, how it relates to natural law is obviously important, and I would say that that is basically what I was just talking about. It is it's how we create the most value and the most acknowledgement of value, and as in what could call true value or highest value, to teach natural law. And so that's the sort of the obvious connection. How does it relate to natural law? Well, okay, so natural law can manifest as in devaluing as well as valuing, increasing value. So so the law is blind. Yeah, it will give you the result. That's the answer to that. So if you're putting value out, then you're creating value. There isn't going to lack of value is not going to come from that, right? Because it's inherent it's expansive, right? And the contrary is also true. So natural law is the law that through which value is mashed up and lost and found and all of that. Yeah. So in that sense, it's very important because our actual experiences of gain and loss in everyday life, these actually are our messages from natural law. They are saying to us, that this is the vibe. This is the vibe. They're saying this is the vibe of this moment. This is your karma right now. And sometimes it's like, the fuck? How did that happen? Why is this happening to me? Well, it's happening to you because of natural law and because of your karma. And but the way that you distinguish, it's up to you to go like unpuzzle this karmic mess, or not even necessarily try to unpuzzle it, but to sort of go to use your valuing discernment, right? I think that's makes sense. So you have the feeling of whatever it is, elation, regret, gain, loss, and that has a flavor, and that is value. That in itself is value because it's a kind of a lesson. And if you can, rather than obviously what is common is that loops evolve where we're related and so we blah blah blah, or we're deflated and so we blah blah blah, and everyone's got their own loops and everything. But value is in looking at those with the intellect as well. So it's actually feeling those feelings, really being present with the feelings, and then engaging the intellect in parallel, or in parallel, and looking dispassionately at the feeling, and doing both. It's not that you're not feeling. You're absolutely feeling. You're letting the feeling go full through you, as much as possible. The more you can feel it, and the more you can actually look at it, take the or not take the value from it, accept the value that's being offered to you and the lesson, and say, okay, now with this, I can create value from the lesson. Okay. And that's how karma, that's the relationship between karma and natural law. It's like this loop. You know, you get the lesson, you learn the lesson, now you're creating value. You know. So yeah, I mean, this all comes down to choice, free will, and that is informed, as I'm saying, by these experiences. And yeah, and so something that it wasn't in that list of commonly quoted values or things of value, but it's belonging. It was hinted at because it said family and it said community, but I would say that belonging is more of a like kind of a profound sort of value. Let me just go back to StreamYard and check what's going on. Okay, Jeffrey's there. Cool. Value is something that improves your life. Yeah, but it's also can be something that informs your life choices, and it can also be something that where you improve the world. Smash that like button. Way ahead of you. Okay, so I've just finished going through these notes. I don't know if anyone can I see how many people are watching? Does it tell me? No. Yes, 4 are watching. Hello, 4 of you. Yeah, remember to smash the like button and share and subscribe and all of those things. Right, let me see. How do I do this? I'm going to share my referral link. No, that's the wrong thing, sorry. Oops, please excuse my lack of being together with this. Invite guests, copy. Right. Okay, you are getting invited. So you, dear listener, can join in the conversation, and you can also comment, of course. So the link is now there in the comments to this video. So I'll keep an eye on that, but I'm going to go back to my notes over here. So yeah, well, I'll go back to this actually, that the quantitative and the importance, you know, this is a kind of, so the idea of value of like an amount, you know, a measure of something, and then the qualitative, the importance of something, there, it's very, it's strange how the two are like so overlaid. They're like this. They're like two shifting concepts that they just move around, you know. Because it's so obvious, isn't it, that something sometimes it will just become more valuable, like monetarily, but that's not the same as the importance thing, you know. And it's all, and all of those things, I guess, are relative, which is why I say that this different concept of value, this very specific technical definition of value, is actually, I think it's really of use, of value, because it's a way of looking very clearly at your actions. Am I creating value, i.e. teaching natural law through this action? which doesn't mean necessarily that you're, espousing your great knowledge about it. It might just be a simple action, which demonstrates, the will and the action of doing no harm or allowing no harm. And now I've got to talk about doing no harm and allowing no harm, because that's some good shit right there, man. So I was on. I heard a thing on Jeffrey's 7-hour stream. And no, I didn't listen to 7 hours, I'm afraid, but I skimmed through and I heard Scott Gordon talk about this, and I've been going on about it ever since because it blew my mind. And it's actually really huge for me to realize this. It's because I'm new to this stuff, some of this stuff, very new to some of this stuff. I'm always learning, but this thing that we always hear, and a lot of people maybe have never heard, but it is in certain circles common to kind of hear that it just, it's just do no harm. Just do no harm. That's it. That's natural law. And it's not. It's not. It's half. It's half of it. That is half of it. This maybe it's a tangent, maybe it's related, I don't know, but I just need to get this out. It's very obvious that is not the full extent of right action. Doing no harm is half of it, and allowing no harm is the other half. And they relate to the masculine and feminine, and except the other way around. And I think this is so huge to realize this. And I would argue that there's probably been a deliberate skewing of that. It wouldn't surprise me in the slightest to hear that there been, that was being emphasized, because it's completely passive. It's completely passive. Do no harm. Oh, right, okay, well, just do nothing then. I can't really be doing any harm, can I? It's extraordinary. And I want to kind of shout this from the rooftops for people who want to understand natural law, that it is not do no harm. It is do no harm and allow no harm. Do no harm and allow no harm. Now, when you hear the phrase allow no harm, that's a bit different, isn't it? Because you're not doing it, are you? Because I know I'm not doing it. I'm not allowing no harm in this world. Very, 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 very far from it. So it puts a very different slant on it. It should put a fire under your ass or whatever, and get you to think about, well, how am I actually do that? What does that mean? How can I even move in that direction in the slightest? This is all. But through doing no harm, you're not actually creating value, as well. Doing no harm is really not good enough. It's not right action. That is not the definition of right action. I don't think. I'm pretty sure it's not. Although you could say, well, it's right. I have a right up until to do anything until it. But this is where free will and the internal meets the external, and it's a really it's a really sort of tender point to negotiate within your own psyche, I think, or in your own imagination about, well, where is the edge of free, where does free will meet the other's free will? This is really fundamental stuff that I'm going to hopefully be talking and writing about soon. I know I've been saying that for a while. Right, anyway, let's see. Jeffrey's here. Add to stage. Hey, excuse me, waffling on.
How's it going, Nemo?
Hello.
How you been, man?
Hey, yeah, good. How are you guys?
Good. You look well rested.
I actually am. Yeah. I actually am quite well rested. I don't know quite how that's happened, but it's all good. How about you guys? All well?
Yeah, everything's been great. Been hot. Temperature-wise, it's been real hot. We're in the pit of summer, so it's like 100 degree days and stuff. 90 to 100 degree days.
Yeah.
Actually, you do have to say thank you for letting us use your song. They won't take our freedom away.
Yeah, that song's dope.
First of all, yeah, that song is awesome. And actually, it was a kind of a rough time. My cat passed away, but I made a tribute video. But I used that song, and I put it on, and I just started playing, and I didn't do any editing. And I was like, oh my god, it's perfect. So it's like that song is has extra sentimental value for me now. But yeah, I just wanted to thank you.
How old was your cat?
He was only 9. He was actually one of the I had a cat I grew up with. She lived to 22 years old. But yeah, he always had health problems and just unfortunately succumbed to them. But yeah, he was featured on. I think he might have been on ENL before. He was probably walking behind our heads a couple times. But yeah, the orange cat.
I'm getting a kind of hissy, wiry noise of some kind. I can't hear you guys, but there's
check. Is it there?
It might be coming through the Discord.
It's just like a high pitched kind of whine, like something's plugged in or not plugged in.
Oh, turn that fan off. Maybe it's a fan. Let me see. Is it gone?
No.
No.
Now it's gone.
Is it back?
No. Yeah.
Okay. You could just go. I'll figure this out, but
cool. Well, did you guys? What would you want to? What you here you are. Say some stuff, man. Bring us your wisdom on value.
So yeah, do no harm, allow no harm is pretty. That's kind of one of the big things. I mean, we all had the same epiphany. I think when Scott Gordon came on the show and said that, he was like, because everybody, it's do no harm, take no shit, I think is the term here, which is no, that's bullshit, that just means, everyone should fight to the death about their beliefs, and or whatever, allow no conflict or whatever. It's a dumb way of thinking. But the do no harm, allow no harm, that's a whole different story. It takes some
of the ego out of it, maybe, kind of take no shit. Well, yes, there's the sacred lost word of no. There's still there. It's a slippery. Take no shit. It's kind of a slippery slope, and allow no harm is a little bit more all encompassing as far as the basic principles of the matter. But yeah, thanks to Scott for that one.
Yeah.
Shout out, Scott Gordon.
Yeah. It takes the doing less harm to a whole different level, really, because it's okay, you can do less harm and make some choices in your life and that cut down on the amount of karmic inventory you pile up. But the allowing no harm, it's then that's man shit. That's stuff we're supposed to be doing as men anyway, that's been forgotten or brainwashed out of us, really, because government wants us to be all passive and subservient. They don't want a bunch of people trying to overthrow them because they're jerks. So they don't want us thinking like that. But that's something we need to get back to. And it's been cool watching Scott, because when we first met Scott, he was very like, oh, I like what you guys are doing, but I don't do anything like this. I'm not really about the petty tyranny or but then he's turned into, over this last couple years, we've watched him turn into someone who, we've seen him get pretty excited about calling people out who are doing harm publicly, public ostracization, which is in anarchy. If we were living in anarchy, our personal reputation goes very far. It matters way more than it does here in this system, where people can where we've learned by government just allows any, criminals back on the streets, and they don't do anything. They take criminals, bad behaviors, usually policy breakers, and put them in prison where they become like mega prisoners, and then they let them go again. And there's just this terrible system that we've tried for hundreds of years. It doesn't work anymore. That's very harmful on the world around us, the prison industrial system and the military industrial system. It's pretty bad. And we need to step up more and be men and not expect the government to wipe our ass for us. It's been crazy. I've done a couple debates recently with political people, people who believe in politics and stuff, and it's wild, and it's been fun watching them squirm. When I question, I just debated a couple of vegans that are very political. There's a leftist vegan and a righty vegan, and they're always fighting with each other. And I had them both on the show and was just like, hey, you guys, it's not supporting government isn't vegan. Supporting the system that subsidizes the meat and dairy, and subsidizes the military and industrial complex. Supporting that system is definitely contradictory to your beliefs. And they were just squirming. They were like, oh, they didn't know what to say, because they're used to just fighting other libs, or libs fighting, it's not a perspective they're used to. Someone pointing it out, and they'll roll their eyes when I talk about not having a government and stuff, but they're fooling themselves, because it's the entire system is harmful. There's no way of getting around it. The system's not going to, you're not going to be able to vote harm away in a system which does harm inherently. You're never going to convince it to not be greedy anymore and to self-regulate itself. So the only thing you could do is make it obsolete and send it away in the past with all the other bad ideas that we've had, and learn to live in a free market, and learn, a different way of doing things. But I don't know. That was kind of a crazy rant. But yeah, do no harm, allow less harm, or allow less harm, allow no harm. Yeah, there's a couple ways of saying it, but yeah, that's what it's all about these days.
Come back around to value.
Oh yeah, value. So yeah, I think as activists, or at least me as an activist, I'm always thinking about how much value my time is worth, and picking what things to, picking battles. And at certain points, you got to change. You have to always be reevaluating how much value what you are doing has to you and to the world. And I think a lot of people are stuck in a pattern of doing things that have no value whatsoever, and that take away, are actually a negative to the world. And that's kind of the basis of what the problem we're living in today. With all the Satanists, just kind of being crazy consumers, and yeah, I don't know. It's kind of it's an interesting new topic to talk about. What do you think?
This is my look. I believe Darcy's on here commenting on my top. Blue top, yeah. Facts. Spitting facts as usual, Darcy.
Crip.
Does blue top have value?
Does the blue
Do
top
you value that blue top?
I don't
blue.
know. It's blue. It's blue. That's for sure. That's for sure. Yes. So value. I mean, another thing that came up when I was, I think, oh yeah, it's when you stop speaking. That's when I noticed that noise. I think it's maybe quiet when you speak. I don't know.
Okay, we'll mute up then.
Yeah, that's cool. So I just got. Oh yeah, the thing of infinite value from the end of all evil. You know, that I remembered that thinking about this topic, which is the proposition that he makes in that you know, an individual, a human being, is of infinite value. Which I've said before on the show that it's kind of a mind-blowing concept, and also it's, I feel, instinctively, intuitively true. You know, when you hear it, like I'd never heard that until I read the book, and then I think he uses it a few times in the book, and it's almost one of those phrases that you hear, and it's like, well, it means what it means, and you can't really then, it somehow like bypasses some, I don't know, it's on a different level for me. That insight, I would say, is on a different level. I mean, I could relate it to Buddhism as well, actually, of course, as like I can, like most things. But you know, the infinite potential of the individual being the manifestation of Buddhahood, which, again, as I've said before on the show, is not something that I feel we really have an adequate corollary for in the English language, which is strange, a bit sad. Yeah, the concept of Buddhahood is, again, really is about manifesting the highest value, i.e. it's enlightening the most people the quickest. That's basically the highest value. That's what the Buddha is, like, allegedly was doing, was just kind of walking around and going like, you understand now, you know, now you all understand. And everyone's like, oh my God. Why were we so deluded before that guy explained it like that, you know? And that's really, you know, I feel that is the definition of like ultimate value, and that's the sort of the symbolic value of the Buddha. You know, is the idea of this person, and also the idea that's also kind of wrapped up in, depending on how you interpret Buddhism, that the person that you're talking to could manifest that. They could be the Buddha for you in that moment at any time. So this value can come even from someone who appears to be, even, you know, yeah, it can actually come from anywhere. That's I mean, I don't know, why not? I'll talk about Buddhism a bit more, you know, and might have mentioned this in the show before, but this idea of the the lotus that's central to the well, it's the Lotus Sutra, you know, is the penultimate teaching of the Buddha, and the symbol is that it's like a symbol of transmutation, or of alchemy, so that the roots of the lotus go down into the deepest depths of the swamp where all the detritus is and everything, and then it manifests, takes the energy of that and the reality of that sort of deep, dark, hidden depths that don't appear to be of any value, and it brings forward this perfect sort of manifestation of kind of perfection, this symbol of perfection, this beautiful flower. That's the symbol, and what that is representing is transforming that which is devalued, or that which doesn't feel valuable, into something that is valuable, into genuine value. That's the idea of it.
Yeah, it almost makes me think of just in nature, just biologically, like the role of different like fungi, like that's what, like just taking what we perceive as invaluable decaying matter and then turning it into life. Like, I don't know if you've seen those, like they do those demonstrations. There'll be like a pile of just debris soaked in oil, and then they'll have a pile that they inoculate with fungi, one with bacteria, and another one they just leave alone as a control pile. And then by the end of, I forget what the time period is, like months, probably multiple months, they uncover the fungi pile and it's teeming with life. And then they leave it open for another couple weeks and plants grow and bugs come. And so it's like I guess that's life is value. And it goes back to the infinite potential of the human and the human life being that valuable. We have those sort of like corresponding aspects, but on just like such a smaller scale, though, on like microbial life, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really interesting. Lotus flower, though, that's like a perfect representation of it. Is the lotus flower, is it an 8-petaled flower? I'm thinking of the word 8's coming, or the number 8's coming out of it. Oh, 10. Oh, okay, yeah. Never mind. You're like, can't confirm.
Well, is it 10? Did you say?
I don't know. The one on my arm has 10.
Yeah.
So, but that's
is it accurate? Yeah. We gotta look into it.
That's funny. Yeah, no, I don't know. That's we could find out. Let's find out. How many petals? Lotus.
It's very important information.
Flower. Well, you might be surprised. They don't have a fixed petal count. 20 and 30.
That's actually more interesting. They don't have a fixed
between 20 to 100. A symbolic or botanical answer. In symbolism, traditions sometimes depict them with 8 petals to represent directions or principles. Yeah. So it'd be like the eightfold path.
Yeah.
Shit like that. Yeah. So yeah, I think this idea of infinite value, I think it's quite a tricky one, because I think it can quite easily be confused. Hey, could you mute your thing?
I would say infinite potential, maybe.
Right. Well, I was going to say that it kind of crosses over with the idea of. I'll put your comment up, Darcy, while I'm talking. It crosses over with the idea of sorry, my brain. I'll be with you shortly. Infinite potential. Yes, it crosses over with the sort of egalitarian thing, or equality kind of thing, which is a bit of a distraction, and a bit of confusion, where it's like, well, hey, we're all the same, or don't discern between this or that, this type of person or that type of, or, all of that kind of, like, whatever you call that. There's this kind of very unpleasant sort of angle to that is kind of used. I feel like, it's like, oh, you don't be. It's almost like it's the sort of equivalent of like, oh, don't show off, don't show off, sort of thing. But it's like that on a kind of on a civilizational scale. This kind of thing of like, oh, we're all equal, everyone has to be equal, and and the reality being that no one is equal by any metric. Everyone is different on every metric. So it's all just kind of ridiculous. So it's like, but I think there's a kind of risk when you think about this concept of the infinite value of the individual. It doesn't mean, oh, they've just got that value. Like, oh, they're just manifesting that value. Like, give them a break. Do you know what I mean? Hey, that person's got infinite value. Why are you criticizing them? It's like, well, no, it's not. Doesn't mean that. It means that there's the potential is there, the infinite, the potential of infinite value. I mean, that's how I interpret it anyway. Darcy's saying about the lotus flower's journey from muddy depths to a beautiful bloom is a potent symbol of overcoming adversity and finding beauty and enlightenment in challenging circumstances. Did you write that, Darcy? That really seems like you've just lifted that out of somewhere. Maybe you did. Anyway, yes, exactly. It is a potent symbol. There's another interpretation of the lotus symbol as well. But anyway, the interesting thing is, I mentioned not totally lifted. Oh, totally lifted. Okay, it was totally lifted. Yeah, well, it's very cool. It's basically what I just said. So yeah. Oh, sorry, I've clicked the wrong button there. So yes, that's value. Hold on. I'm trying to close this. Oh no, hide. Right. Okay, there you go. Right, so value, and where are we? 53 minutes. Okay, cool. So I can go on for sure. Intrinsic value can be misinterpreted. Okay. So another aspect of value, I think, that's really worth considering, that's been on my mind a lot recently is, and this kind of goes back, which I sort of intended to do at the start and forgot, which is just to tie it back into the last show a bit, or just to some things that kind of carried over, because that was about good faith dialogue. And so this idea that when people say, what do they value? They value community, which I would say probably comes down actually to belonging. Oh God, sorry, I'm doing it again. My brain's going. What did I just start talking about?
Valuing community.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Sorry. Sorry. Yes. So people wanting community, and really the value, what is the value within that, and how is value either created or maintained or destroyed within community or within relationships. And this is, I think, huge, because it's so sort of easy. I think what people haven't lived in community. So few people really have lived in community over long periods, and so we live in these kind of broken half communities, and then we move on, you know, and so we don't really know how to do community, and we don't really know how to relate to each other very well, I think, for the most part. And we certainly don't like to, you know, go towards things that are uncomfortable. I mean, maybe that's sort of obvious, maybe that's a circular statement, but I mean, there is, I've learned, I think, to some degree, to actually, I've sort of trained myself a bit more than I used to actually see a conflict as an opportunity, you know, a conflict or a disagreement as an opportunity. Because that's absolutely what it is, and it's madness. It's madness to not hear that and not to see that, because this is exactly the lesson of the lotus. You know, that's exactly it. It's like the gold is right there in this thing that you're running away from because it's uncomfortable. Like it's literally showing you, because the discomfort is your discomfort. That's the thing that you need to heal, obviously, because you shouldn't be uncomfortable. You should be a grown up. You know, you should be able to deal with this situation. You know, so running away, going away, and, you know, the other thing, which is, you know, kicking the person out of the thing, whatever it is, which is obviously a very common way of blocking the door, locking the door. You know, this motion of like, you know, of course, I'm not saying that there isn't a time where a situation, a relationship has to end for whatever reason. You know, that's, of course, there's those times, but it's not going to get us to heaven. You know, that's not the way. You know, we have to go more in the other direction and more towards talking to our enemies. You know, like that has to be the way of learning, I think.
From what I've noticed, communities only really work if there's a large outside purpose, like survival. And it's kind of like if communities get together for anything less than that, there's like a less chance of that community being successful. And it's the same thing in personal relationships. You know, like in our relationships, like if there's not, it very much helps if there's a larger outside purpose that isn't just the community, or isn't just, oh, the purpose of us is just us. You know, like it helps to have something bigger. And like back in the day when we lived in tribes, those tribes were survival tribes, and the tribes got together and were successful because they had a purpose of surviving, which is very fucking serious. They weren't just getting together because they want to have a little community of like-minded people online. You know, like these little reasons why people start communities on the internet aren't real reasons. They're not serious reasons. They're not serious purposes. Outside of, oh, this is just about the community and spreading a message, whatever message that may be. But it definitely seems like, you know, without a serious purpose, having a community that stays together or is successful isn't going to happen, because when the community is the purpose, it becomes like a very cult of personality thing, and like the personalities start arguing about who knows more, whatever, and oh, we need to kick this person out, blah 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 blah. You know, that there's way more chances of that happening in a community that has no purpose than the community who has a huge purpose. Not that I think like natural law communities aren't going to help change the world, but it just seems like without a solid purpose, these communities just fall apart pretty quickly.
Well, honestly, I put some thought into this. I can't remember if I've mentioned this on the show. Maybe I did. I think I have, but anyway, it's fine. I put some thought into a kind of manifesto for a community, or part of a manifesto. What the part that I thought I understood and could like present. And it's basically what you could define what the community that would evolve around that manifesto as a shadow work community, because what the thing that I identified as being the most important was to go into the difficult areas and to go towards any conflict and to support people in conflict, and that would be an inherent part of the community.
Group therapy.
Group therapy, yeah. Yeah. I looked up vegan group.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I can't remember. I think I looked it up on YouTube because I thought, oh, have you not posted something for a while? I looked it up and it was and it didn't. It was like took a while to find you anyway. Maybe it was Google. I can't remember.
Well, it's because the channel isn't called. It's Jeffrey Phillips. The channel.
Oh yeah, okay, that's why.
Group therapy is just the title of several podcasts, so it doesn't directly show you that. Now use VGT. It's VGT Live. Yeah, VGT Live is what really pops up. But yeah, we've been posting this. We're getting shadow banned.
Oh yeah, of course. They're out to get you, man. Sorry, go.
Does it sound better? Is it still whining?
It's kind of hissy. It's not whining, but it's not. I feel like it's been better before. At your end, I don't know why that would be. So, I was also just going to say about the mantra of Nichiren Buddhism, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, and I've said this in the group as well, but it's just kind of crazy what it means. Is like Nam, Namaste. I respect, I honor this principle. Nam Myoho is is natural law. And then Renge is the lotus flower, so meaning like this principle of transformation, and Kyo means like teaching, spreading that. That's a very, very brief definition, but it's got. The reason I keep talking about it is because I feel like, for me, Nichiren was writing in the 13th century. In Japan, there's in my life and my experience in like trying to understand spirituality, air quotes central, I went through, like, I came through Buddhism, but like what happened for me in the last few years was so exciting to kind of discover that there's this way of understanding this that's in my native language and native sort of rational conceptualization, and that I can kind of dig in and get involved and contribute to some degree in this kind of thing that's alive now. And it's exactly the same thing as, obviously it's natural law. It's literally talking about the same shit, but it's
Dharma is natural law, isn't it? It seems like Buddhism's coming up a lot lately for a lot of people,
right?
Diving deep into the natural law shit.
As far as I understand, my interpretation, and you might hear different, is that karma, karma literally means action and result, sort of thing, or like cause and effect. in one word, and then Dharma, which could be, which is one way of understanding natural law, or one is synonymous really with natural law. And then Dharma, in my understanding, is more about the individual's path in relation to their understanding of natural law, something like that. The Dharma path, So and people confuse that a bit, because sometimes people say, like the example I gave earlier, a natural law means do no harm, as if it's like a law, like, oh, you're not to do this, you need to do that, not that. But that's obviously not what natural law means. But Dharma kind of is more of that. Dharma is like the actions that you take on in response to your deepening understanding of natural law and that relationship. That's how I understand it.
Yeah, it's like kind of how, similar to how I thought about it, is like the individual's alignment with natural laws kind of like corresponds to like how I interpret Dharma. Like
yeah.
Basically, yeah, what you just said.
It's very quiet, Matt.
Check. Is that really quiet?
I think you were just off the mic a bit, Ali.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Not bad.
So yes, just to get back then to talking about value in relationship, in community, in society. This, I think, okay, so here's the thing that I've been thinking about recently. I'll just kind of put this out there. I think there are 3 areas that are probably most challenging for most people, in terms of having to rethink them when you think about them from a natural law perspective. And that would be, in no particular order, would be treatment of animals, the state / authority, and relationship to land or place, which is, in my mind, is kind of interchangeable. And I think that the last one, land, I think is in my understanding, in my view, is the least investigated, talked about, understood, considered in the freedom community, whatever you want to call it, movement, yada yada. I think people actually don't see it. Personally, I think it's, and I can't. It's so hard to see, because the reality has been divided up. The plane of existence has been divided up in this way, like it's literally like turned into a grid. It's like it's like virtual reality the first time, when they, like the claiming of land and the parceling up of land in the way that it's happened, and the way that it's so completely happened.
That's kind of
sorry
about that. That's kind of the psyop, is the whole we can own land as humans, that we own land, the land doesn't own us, is kind of the biggest psyop. Because once you decide to purchase a piece of land, you need a state to stick up for your right to own that land, and that kind of starts the whole statist spiral going, cascade effect, basically. So yeah, the idea, like, we don't own land. Land absolutely owns us, and in a voluntary system, you would be able to use land, as much land as you are willing to defend, or pay someone to defend, which completely changes things. Because when you start off in a system where you think you own this piece of space, and you're always going to want that big daddy government with all the tanks and everything to defend that, It's kind of the biggest thing that people need to relearn and unlearn is the idea that we own land, and rejecting the system that tells us that we own land is super important.
I feel like it's really far. We're really far from getting our heads around that one.
A lot of people are.
Yeah, and because I feel like I feel there's a lot of people who kind of lean anarchist or whatever, who are more who are influenced, not without necessarily knowing it. They've kind of taken on like Lockean ideas, and basically like other ideas from that kind of period, or that are just kind of take the state for granted. They're kind of, the state was inherent within, it's embedded within those conceptualizations, and I think it's really about, it has to really come down to freedom, individual freedom. And that's not easy, when you're talking about place and you're talking about freedom and you're talking about different, monads or different, people with different ideas. It might be tricky. But one thing I do know is that, and I was just thinking this as I was walking here, I was looking at just walking past these terraced houses, rows and rows of terraced houses. And I'm thinking, well, one thing is for sure, if people had felt that they had choice, or did have choice, or could live anywhere, there's not many people that would want to live like this.
Yeah, right. Getting brainwashed into big cities is like, it's basically jail, But going back to what you were saying about people aren't ready to swallow the idea of not having government, it's crazy because, like, I think, like, if we lost government tonight, tomorrow, when everyone goes to work and has, a 40% raise because they aren't paying a federal income tax anymore, and innovation is like light speed, the free market taking over the enterprises of government and offering us better solutions at a lower price, competing in the free market. I think when everyone gets it, realizes that when government's gone, they're going to get a fat check, they're going to get a fat raise, they're going to be pretty happy about that idea. We weren't supposed to be slaving away like this. We're, really supposed to kind of just be working a couple months out of the year and taking the rest of the time off, with if things were a truly free market where government monopolies didn't screw everything up. People just think that have this idea because they've been brainwashed by the government and media since birth that if we didn't have a federal government, that we would go back to the Stone Ages. And that's absolutely not true, because in reality, government's been holding us back in the Stone Ages for a long time, with the overregulation and monopolization of really shitty industries, spending money on garbage we don't need, foreign wars that we don't need to be in, stuff like that. When people realize, their tax dollars might actually go into a voluntary system where they can choose their own environment to be in by choosing from the whatever the free market is offering. There'll be, I don't know if I've ever gone into this, but there will be, communities just like there are now, different places with different flavors of politics. Everything will change, but be the same. And the only thing that'll be different is you'll be able to make the choice to go to a different community where they have different politics. Unlike now, where you have no choice but to go along with what the government does with your money. They hold a gun to your head and take your tax dollars and go drop bombs on people with it. You don't have a say. When they subsidize, put trillions of dollars into the meat and dairy industry to keep it afloat because because it goes against the natural law, or it goes against free market and natural law. Things are going to be very different once the government's gone, because there won't be those subsidies. The true value of things will come out once the government is gone. The true value, the real prices for meat and dairy will go through the fucking roof without those subsidies, because you're paying $1 for that burger, but you've already paid $9 in taxes for it. So people just don't look at math. They don't do math. They don't look at the numbers. It doesn't make sense to support government in any way whatsoever. They're just screwing things up. And the second they're gone, everything's going to be so much better. You'll be able to hire a private security company to keep an eye on you and keep your community safe, instead of having these police officers going around generating revenue for more police officers that just go around and victimize people to generate revenue. It's a vicious cycle. You'll have actual companies doing private security that compete against each other, compete to be the safest, cheapest, best product available, instead of what you have now is government monopoly.
But Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Sorry, is it all right to interrupt?
Yeah.
I feel like it's not that I disagree with this, but it's like, well, yeah, but like first you need like the majority of the world to realize that so it's like that we're so far from that. We're just not. It's like, yeah, it sounds it's great.
I definitely don't think having that perspective is going to get us that far. I think everyone's one conversation around away from understanding these ideas. They just need to be presented right, because like I said, most people think without the feds, everything's going to go to the Stone Ages again, and that's just not true. People are going to like how it is without the government. And I think right now we have more people understanding that than ever. But it takes a lot, it takes an open mind and a lot of willing time to spend learning this stuff.
Well, we are, in terms of the sort of the political world, the fake shit. It's kind of it is at some sort of what feels a bit like an impasse, like it's
well, why let what everyone else is doing affect what you do? That doesn't. I represent what I believe in, not what I think everyone else believes in, because and compromising on myself because I think most people don't believe this. I'm not going to compromise on what I believe in. I'm going to shout this shit from the rooftops, and get results or not get results. But I don't let anyone else's bad activism affect my activism. And you might be wrong about that. Most people I think are super anarchist on the inside, and when really, like I said, one conversation away.
I think you misunderstood me.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I don't know, because I think what my point was that the general I suppose I'm talking about America and England. Is kind of what my sense of like civilization is, kind of that really. It was just the English speaking
humans. We're all humans, is what I'm talking about. Most humans don't want a empirical government breathing down their neck all day long. That's kind of all I was just saying. So it's like, it's not like we're fighting this. We're fighting for statism, like we're fighting for a better future, which helps out, and that's why it's so hard for people to, let's say, outdo us in these conversations, because at the end of the day, they realize that anarchy is how we're supposed to be. Anarchy was is the state, the original state of nature, it would be nice. And it's nothing but the brainwashing that tells us that anything different is going to be anything, like this idea, oh, everyone's so stupid, everyone's so brainwashed. That's been forced on us by the state, that idea. They want us divided. They want us thinking everyone's dumb, because then we want the government. We need the government to save us from the dumb people that live next door to me. Like, I don't believe in humanity as being that. I mean, yeah, shit's fucked up now, but everyone is one conversation away from being a full-blown anarchist, especially these days. And, I don't think we should alter our message in any way whatsoever. We should be setting the bar, instead of just kind of like, oh, well, the majority isn't going to believe this. So, maybe we should compromise and just like push libertarianism or something instead of anarchism, because it's a minarchist, people, we're never going to, minarchism doesn't work. The idea of having a small government stays small for like 5 minutes and then blows up huge.
Hold on, because I feel like I'm not sure if I think you've misunderstood me, because the two things that I wanted to say, one was, when you were first talking about government, what my point was that, to me, there's a more fundamental argument which is about authority and external authority. It's not really to do with the practicalities of government or no government. It's to do with just a much more fundamental facts of principle, and that's what I lean towards. How I lean towards talking about it or teaching it. So that was the first kind of thing I was saying, and then the second thing I was saying was that was actually in agreement with you, was saying that it does feel like in the world let's say the English speaking world, there is like so much, like it's never been this level of, in my lifetime, of kind of disgust with the system and and government, but of course the thing is, everyone's like, oh, we've got to replace them. We've got to it's like,
got to get the right guy in there, and it's like, no, need to get rid of the whole thing.
No. But yeah, so there is like this kind of appetite, but of course a lot of people are sort of like, well, yeah, I suppose my point is that, that if that creates this feeling, and it's probably there's probably is potential within a lot of different kind of ideological circles to sort of say, well, to sort of put that message in there and say, well, you're repeatedly dissatisfied, you're repeatedly like seeing this, that it's fake, that it's lies. Like, how about actually thinking this right the way through and going, well, what is the actual solution to that, rather than the minutiae of what has been lied about or whatever. Do you see what I mean? It's like, let's go down a level and like get to the foundation here.
Huh. I wonder if we'd be more successful pushing anarchism than natural law, than burying it in natural law, because it's kind of buried in natural law. And I'd imagine these days, I mean, they're kind of the same thing, but I'm trying to think, like, what interesting question. Would be more effective pushing anarchism than natural law?
You're off the mic.
Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's I definitely think we're living in interesting times, and it seems like, I feel like it's close to the death of this government. And so like most of like my work these days is geared towards, what should we do tomorrow if we don't have a government? What's the best way of rebuilding things while taking natural law into consideration? And like, relearning or people learning to become ungovernable and reject any type of systems like that when they do come in. But yeah, I guess the way I explain it is far more like tactical, where you're explaining it much more like philosophically, and that's kind of like how she's kind of a lot more. It's kind of like our balance too with our activism.
Yeah, I'm way more into the philosophy, really. I mean, I'm not into practicalities, but but I feel like, I mean, I guess it's just whatever frequency you're on, isn't it? It's like,
yeah, we're both doing the same thing, but it's education at the end of the day. People just need to they just need to want to educate themselves to a certain point.
I feel like it's also discussing different degrees of the same, like under the same principles and values and morals. How far along, like, are we thinking steps? Like, what would be the next step from society today going towards an anarchist society versus what is the ideal of what should be striving for?
Yeah.
I mean, I think even Ron Paul acknowledged that, like, as a traditional libertarian, and then he ran as a Republican in the United States. But during an interview, he pretty much acknowledged, when questioned about anarchism, that yes, we should have anarchism as the ultimate goal. And I think I used to consider myself a libertarian, but most libertarians kind of see that, and it's just the ism that we call ourselves just depends on what sort of like point in the range of going towards the anarchist society we're focusing on. That, if that makes sense.
I didn't know that about Ron Paul. That's cool. I kind of, he always seemed pretty cool.
Yeah, he several times was asked about anarchism, and he would say voluntarism is awesome. I'm a total he'd say I'm really interested in voluntarism and anarchism and stuff like that. And that's kind of I think we both, like, light speed went through libertarianism like in like a year, ended up being anarchists because of Ron Paul kind of making that step and being such a weird rad dude during that time. And that's I think the whole truth movement has a huge debt of gratitude, or should have at least, towards Ron Paul, because during 2012 things were never the same after 2011, 2012, as far as like the truth movement goes, because he brought so many people in.
Right.
And there really hasn't been anyone else that big to bring that many people into the truth movement since. And there's so many new people, and it's funny to talk to new truthers and they have no idea who he is, and it's like, holy shit, I got stuff to show you. He went through and did the Republican debates and just handed everyone's ass to him. Got like super conservative states cheering him, legalizing heroin and like crazy stuff. Like, he was a cool dude. I had breakfast with him once. It was pretty rad. Like, nice. He's a real friendly dude.
Yeah, he has a good vibe. I remember, so it was like, I guess 2011, 2010 or something, I became aware of him, and I remember in that election going to I don't know if you know, like Five Rhythms dance. I don't know if you know what that is. It's like a dance thing, kind of class, whatever. And at the beginning, if I remember right, at the beginning of the class, it was like the US election was the next day or something like that. So this was Obama, right? Is that, would it be? I don't know what you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the person like leading the class kind of said this thing about like, oh yeah, we're gonna get like, hey, change, or whatever the bullshit was, like this. And I was like, what the fuck, you're bringing that into this space? And of course I was like completely like seeing straight through that like horrible optimistic, like bullshit show that we'd had that over here with Tony Blair, like I guess a few years earlier. So I was just like, I know, quite a lot earlier. So I saw it all. I was just like, oh, this is making me feel sick. And so it was really incongruous bringing that into the space. But of course, a lot of the people in the space were like, or most of the people were like, yeah, Obama, woohoo. And I was like, Ron Paul, vote Ron Paul. I didn't even really know who he was or anything, but I was just like,
he was definitely
just knew that he was the guy. He was the cool guy.
I mean, Obama duped me his first time around, but he lied about so much shit. I didn't make that decision the next time. That's for sure. And that was really when I became kind of radicalized, was during that time. Because we had put so much effort into Ron Paul, and they just unseated him, and so it was like, oh, this is fucked. Like I'm never wasting another minute with this system again. And a lot of people had that same opinion, but then fell back on it. Once Trump came around, they're like, oh, Trump's the new Ron Paul, and it's like, no, he fucking isn't. Are you out of your mind?
Anti-establishment.
Yeah,
totally
right.
Yeah, because he says he is.
Yeah.
Controversial things. Like, okay, you just fall for that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Amazing. Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
Catches bullets with his ears. Amazing. What a guy.
Look. Yeah.
That was God saving him.
Right. Oh, okay. Yeah. Amazing. Almost unbelievable.
Almost.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look. I think I'm gonna get on, but thank you guys for joining me, and thanks 5 people for watching, and thanks to Darcy for commenting about my top and all that. And I'll see you next time. So, okay, I'll just do the housekeeping bit, which is that basically my idea now is to do fortnightly on Wednesdays. That's the idea.
So that's what, every 3 weeks?
Fortnightly, 2 weeks. Is that? Do you not say that?
We don't use that. I mean,
really?
We don't speak British.
We don't speak that nonsense British. No, they like some of the founding fathers use that terminology, but it's not. It didn't stick. Like it's definitely 200
So you
years.
don't have a thing for what do you say for every 2 weeks?
Are you talking about the video game Fortnite? No,
let's just have
2
a
weeks.
playthrough.
Yeah, we don't have the term for 2 weeks.
You need to rise up Fortnite. We'll just adopt it. Got it.
Wow. Okay. So
Fortnite.
Every 2 weeks on a Wednesday. That's what I'm aiming towards.
That's what I've been doing. It brings a lot more balance to your life.
Yeah.
And the episodes you put out will be better too.
Yes. I didn't actually catch up. There was a couple of things. Oh yeah, I meant to touch on that about the communication and the value of communication and good faith dialogue and stuff like that.
Good faith dialogue episode was really good.
Yeah.
It ended up being mentioned in a lot of podcasts and stuff too. Like,
oh, cool. Well, but I think it's also that. Okay, yeah, I do want to say. So this is something that I don't know if there's much to say about it. It's just the value in relationships. So trust, that was in the list, commonly quoted values, right? Was trust, value. People value trust or loyalty. Loyalty is a bit of a funny one, but trustworthiness, let's say. And that's what good faith dialogue is about. That's what right action is about. It's about listening, being ready to hear, being ready to respond, or determined to do your best to actually connect with the person where they are, with what they're saying to you, in a way that they can understand, and to actually make that connection and to actually communicate and create value through the communication. I think that's a kind of really fundamental thing. And that also manifests, one of the ways that manifests is in agreements. That's almost one of the that's like the glue of community and of society, is agreements and understandings and expectations. And when those are not met, then and when they're routinely not met, there's real problems. And I think we inhabit a world where things are, like for instance, just as a really mundane example, now that everyone's got a phone, you say, oh, I'll see you at 5 o'clock, and then of course you're on the phone saying, oh yeah, running late, blah blah blah, all of that. It's kind of like, it's not actually honoring an agreement. And it's not I don't want to be, sorry, I know I just said I was finishing and now I'm rabbiting on. You guys can head off if you want. I just wanted to say this last bit. But yeah, the agreement thing, is like how you maintain value, between people. You kind of create a standard of value and then you uphold that value. And that's what people mean when they talk about belonging, about community. And it's such a fundamental need and part of how we, I think, are longing to experience life. And I think we're let down so much, I mean, another random example comes into my mind of like being told by a robot that your call is important to us. That's a sort of example of how you're just lied to, in this just mundane way by this kind of bullshit reality. I mean, I don't know, there's just things flying around, but because that's not that's not how it used to be, within our lifetimes, not that long ago, if someone couldn't answer the phone, they just didn't answer the phone. They didn't get a robot to tell you that your call was important. And it's kind of like there's these really horrible ways that just deceit kind of just comes into the picture. And I mean, it's very rambling, but yes. The thing about agreements that I think is important is, because this is something I've been thinking about a lot to do with value, is that actually, and I might have touched on this before, but when you make an agreement, you don't know the value of the agreement to the other person. And you actually can't really know. You really, I'd say, you really can't know what that is. You just can never understand what the value is to that person. And so I think it actually, in a natural law sense, you should always honor agreements. And this is like, gets quite serious, it's like, oh, and I've been thinking about it, it's like, oh right, so if I say I'm going to do something, I should do it. And it doesn't matter how big or small it is. That's actually completely irrelevant. This is actually about right action. It's very simple. It's like, how do we create a trustworthy society? Well, by doing what we say we're going to do. That's all a trustworthy society is people honoring, living up to their own claims about what they're going to do. Yeah, so that's something I wanted to throw in as well. And then another thing, because it's been on my mind and I just want to pick up on it, and it's a really random little detail from the last show, but I think I'm right about this, because I use this example of an ad hominem, which is, just to backtrack, is basically a dishonest way of engaging in dialogue. So it's not in good faith, it's dishonest, whether you person understands that or not. They're basically not engaging in the actual search for truth. They're going around that in order to discredit you. dishonorably and untruthfully. And so I used this example. I said, you know, if you criticize me and I say, oh, you always say that, I said that was a form of an ad hominem. And Chris picked me up on it and said, no, he thought that was the other thing, the French thing that you
Strawman.
Sorry,
Strawman or Tu Quoque?
No, the thing where it's just like it's not relevant. It's just like an aside. It just talks past the point.
Red herring.
No, it's another one. It's French. It's a French term.
You know better than me.
I can't think of it. Anyway, I just wanted to go back and say that actually I do think that is an ad hominem, because when you say, if I say to you, oh, you always do that, you always criticize me, that is actually undermining what you're saying to me unfairly. It's like, it's not taking it at face value. It is saying, oh, you're only saying that because you are in the habit of that, so therefore it's not actually true.
We could call it appeal to incredulity, I think, is when you're like, oh, well, that's stupid, you know, or like, oh, you're kind of discounting someone, instead of attacking the actual argument. I mean, it is kind of an ad hom.
Well, my point about that was that an ad hominems can be very roundabout, you know, very, very roundabout, just like,
because they're saying you're the type of person to do something that isn't right, instead of being like, oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah. Rather than
avoiding the argument. Yeah,
it's basically avoiding it, or and undermining it, because it's saying your argument is invalid because you're not equipped to do this, or you're doing it for dishonorable reasons or something like that. You know, your reasons are not what you say they are.
No.
You know, and so it's invalid. So it's trying to invalidate the argument without addressing the argument, and it takes many, many, many forms.
Inverting the truth.
Infinite. Sorry?
Yeah. It's inverting the truth. Just to win an argument that's trivial, you know.
Anyway, I just wanted to pick up that because it was bugging me. But apart from that, I think we're good to go. So thanks, guys. And I don't know what the next topic will be. We shall see. We shall see.
Cool. See you guys later.
All right. Peace. Take care. See you all out there. See you next time. Bye.